Hello, I want to do another video. I felt the other one went over pretty well. I mean, pretty new at this, so I'm gonna try to get better. If you have any feedback for me, please, by all means, give me feedback. Try to not be negative, though. I mean, let's be positive. Let's try to learn from each other. Hopefully, you can learn something from me. And if you have something that I can learn from you, by all means, I'm all about it. And I'm all about discussion. You know what I mean? If you want to comment, I'm not going to personally attack you in any way. If I disagree with you, that's fine. Like, we can disagree and be friends. And all the topics I cover, I guarantee not everyone's going to agree with me. And that's fine. You know, there's a lot of topics right now in our country that we're not going to agree upon. And I have friends that are great friends of mine. They maybe don't agree with me. And that's fine. Like, they don't have to agree with me, you know. And with everything going on right now, with the presidential election coming up, kneeling for the flag, police brutality, all these things, it's like people want to, there's a lot of divide in our country. And I believe that what we need is discussion to heal. And so, what I plan to do with these videos is bring us together and help us understand. That's my ultimate goal, and maybe change some people's hearts. So what I want to talk about today is kneeling for the flag. And I know there's some people with really strong feelings about this. Now, if you boycott the NFL, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I'm not mad at you. Like, you can boycott the NFL. If you feel that strongly about standing for the national anthem, more power to you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, because as an American, I believe people have the right to express their First Amendment rights. My dad was in the military. He was in the Navy. He's an underwater welder on a subtender. He fought in Vietnam. Well, he didn't fight. He was just there. I had an uncle who fought in Vietnam in the Marines. I have family that fought in World War I and World War II. And I had family that fought in Korea. I have family that's police officers. But what I believe is when they went and fought, they fought to preserve people's rights. And so kneeling for the national anthem, whether you want to feel disrespected or not, that's your right. I personally, I'm not going to kneel for the national anthem. You know what I mean? I'm going to stand. That's what I've always done. But I'm going to support people who want to express their First Amendment rights and who want to do it. I'm going to support them. So let's just throw a lot of facts out there, some opinions, okay? So first off is the reason that they're kneeling is because of police brutality and systemic racism, okay? And we'll even go as further as to say institutional racism, okay? It's a form of racism that is embedded as normal practice within our society or organization, right? I'm reading the definition. It can lead to such issues as discrimination in criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education. Okay? All right. Now, like I said, I feel like they're expressing their First Amendment rights. I would much rather have them kneel than go and riot and loot. It's a peaceful protest. So, and I'm going to dive more into what I just said, but let me read this. This is our First Amendment of the Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That hits this right on the head. So, and I'll say this, and I'm going to move on. So, if you're upset about the NFL and NBA players kneeling, and that's fine, right? You don't want to be mad about that, right? Then you're mad about them rioting and looting. I don't like that either. But what would you rather have done, right? So, and I hear whenever they're rioting and looting, well, if they would protest peacefully, we would listen. That's what they're doing. And then you're mad about that. So it is what it is. If you're an American and you're mad because somebody's exercising their free rights, and then you're behind that, you're saying, if you don't like our country, get out of our country. You're telling somebody to leave our country because they're exercising a constitutional right? That's where I lose it. Okay? All right. So let's go to the beginning of this. So it started with Colin Kaepernick. Okay? So Colin Kaepernick was sitting for the national anthem. And there was a Green Beret who had seen action and was getting his chance, and he was playing in the NFL. Well, he had seen that Kaepernick was sitting or whatever. He wrote him a letter. So Colin Kaepernick read the letter, sent an Uber, and then they talked. Okay? And so they talked about it, and they didn't agree. They didn't completely agree, and Colin Kaepernick said he's not going to stand for the national anthem. So, and the Green Beret's name is Nate Boyer. And so Colin Kaepernick, he didn't realize that he was maybe disrespecting military. He didn't feel like that, but he said, well, how can I protest a different way? And Nate Boyer told him, why don't you knee? I mean, you take a knee whenever somebody's injured on the field to show respect. You can take a knee, it'll show respect, and you can be alongside your teammates, those that choose to stand. That's where it started. Okay. So I feel like Colin Kaepernick, he was protesting by sitting for the national anthem, but didn't want to disrespect people and wanted to find a better way to do it. Somebody told him, and he decided to take a knee. That's where it started. Okay? Now, understand, there is nothing in the Constitution or Bill of Rights that said you have to stand for the national anthem. It's a choice. You're honoring, past members of the military, people who have lost their lives to fight for freedom. I understand that. It's not beyond me. But those people fought to preserve our rights. Okay? Those people that died in battle or served our country, they did it to preserve the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, so that we would have the freedom to either stand or kneel. Okay. Now I want to go into this. There's many layers to this, to understanding exactly why people are so mad, or why it is important to stand for the national anthem, I guess. So, in 1814, Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Okay. In 1889, Secretary of the Navy Benjamin F. Tracy called the song to be played whenever the American flag was raised. That's 1889. 1916, President Woodrow Wilson signed an executive order declaring the Star-Spangled Banner to be the American national anthem. Okay. 1918, during the seventh inning stretch of a game of the World Series between the Cubs and the Red Sox, while the country had been in World War I for a year and a half, after this, the song was played on holidays and special occasions in many baseball parks. And to go further beyond that, the reason it was played is that they had started the draft. And people were really depressed about that. So everybody kind of embraced that at baseball games. Okay? Let's see. And then 1941-42, playing the national anthem before the start of regular baseball games became the standard. Okay, baseball is the first one to kind of start taking the national anthem in the beginning of games. Okay, 1945, the NFL commissioner Elmer Layden decided it would be played at the beginning of NFL games. Now, it wasn't until 2009 that the NFL players began standing on the field for the national anthem. They didn't even come out of the locker rooms before that. Right? So the reason they started coming out is because the military started paying the NFL to have players come out. Okay? If I'm wrong on these facts, I want to know. Okay? But I've read that stuff that I looked up, and so that's where that's at. So anyways, to kind of wrap this up, okay? is you have to admit that police brutality is a real thing. It's happening. It's real. Um, Now, if you don't believe it's real, you probably haven't witnessed it. Okay, you just haven't seen it happening. But yet we keep seeing videos of it, right? I mean, I watch videos every day where cops don't even understand what people's rights are, and then they get mad whenever people express their rights. Constantly see videos of unarmed black people being shot by cops. So I mean, I have friends that tell me about it. I have to believe that it's going on, and I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not going on. And if you think it's because of this election, the media is blown out of proportion, you ever think that possibly that just every 4 years is whenever the media cares about it? The media isn't feeding us the truth. I mean, this election shows us. You know what I mean? They try to sweep that stuff under the rug. Okay? Now, like I said in my last video, there's tons of good cops. 95% of cops are good. But there is police brutality. And the biggest issue is the system. This is why they're asking to defund the police. Is because the system, the unions, the laws are written so these cops aren't being they're not getting charges pressed on them. There's no justice for the families. And so sorry, I'm going to get choked up because this is pretty serious to me. We need that to change. Okay? So, if anything, taking a knee has got us talking about it. That's the important thing, is that we're talking about it. An open dialogue, learning from each other. Okay? Just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay? We need whenever you see a video of somebody who gets shot by police unarmed, I mean, that cop, if he's not following absolute procedure, if there's not a weapon, whatever, their cops need to be held to a higher standard. And again, there's plenty of good cops, and they're underpaid. Okay? But this is why they're taking a knee. This is why they're taking a knee. So the discussion can be had. So we can have these conversations. And maybe change will happen. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the system with police, is there's stories of police who have stood up to police brutality or have turned in other police for police brutality, and then they lose their job. That's an issue, right? There should be some kind of whistleblower protection among the police. There should be. It needs to stop. So whenever you're saying, why don't good cops stand up? Well, if they do, it's called crossing the blue line. So we need that to change. So the conversation needs to start. If you know a better way that they could protest, that as many people would listen, by all means, I'd love to hear it. But the way I look at it, this is a way that gets everybody talking about it. And they have the right. Whether you like it or not, it's their First Amendment right to kneel for the national anthem. And I support them. If this is an important issue and this is how they're protesting, I support them 100%. And it doesn't, race and all that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If all you see is race and you think it's only black people that are kneeling for the flag and this is only an issue for black people, you're blind. This is an issue for everybody. Police brutality is a serious situation. And maybe it's a small percentage, but I love it when Chris Rock said it's like United Airlines. If 95% of the pilots were good, but 5% of the pilots didn't land, would you fly American Airlines? So, our police force is one of those professions where we can't have 5% be bad. It needs to change. Okay? I would ask you, please, open your minds and have conversations. And just listen. Just listen to what they're saying. You know what I mean? You want to boycott the NFL and boycott the NBA. And honestly, I'll say this. The majority of people that say they're boycotting the NFL and boycotting the NBA, they weren't watching the games anyways. And you know what? You're not even affecting the revenue unless you're buying season tickets, buying tickets, or buying merchandise. Because even whenever the NFL games are down this year, I think one game was like 22% or something like that, and there might be a little bit more, but they're still the most watched program on cable television. They're not going to lose any revenue because you're not watching the game. You know, you want to affect change, start having conversations. You know what I mean? And if you're going to boycott the NFL, why do you got to keep constantly talking about it? Don't give it no attention. You know, you have the right to boycott the NFL and the NBA, 100%, because it's your right as an American. And my father served in Vietnam, so you could have the right to stand for the national anthem. And he also fought and served in Vietnam so that the NBA players and NFL players could take a knee